What's up, guys? What's going on? Welcome back to Moonrunner City. I'm Chris. Here's my review of Killer of Killers. Here we go. I just watched it. Here are my thoughts. They're fresh, and I got some notes written down here, so I might look down to look at them every once in a while. My initial thoughts is I liked it. There are some things that I don't like, so I don't think it was great. It was better than okay. It was cool ish. Just cool ish. I give it like a 6.5. If I think about it too long, maybe give it a 6. When we get to the end, well, first off, we'll start this video with non spoilers. And then towards the end of the video, we'll do spoilers. And we'll discuss some of the things that I do like and I don't like. And we'll even go into the interwebs here on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb and see what they think. So, right off the bat, like I said, I liked it. I thought it was better than okay. It's not great. It's good. It's recommendable. I definitely recommend it. If you're a Predator fan, you're going to like it. If you're just a normie fan of Predator, you probably will like it. There are some things, like I said, that made me kind of not look at my watch, but kind of maybe look at my phone. I think maybe I picked up my phone twice during this movie. All in all, to say that though, that was maybe just to check an important text message. So I'll say I picked up my phone once during this movie. So IMDb gave it a 7.9 out of 10. That's a fair score. Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 98%. So yeah, the critics have it at a 97%, and it looks like it has like the audience popcorn o meter score of 89%. Um, so that's pretty high, I think. I think personally that's pretty high. Screen Rant has it at a 5 out of 10. And I think that's a little bit more on par of where I see it. Like I said, I think I have it a little bit more of it like a 6.5 out of 10 for me personally. But that's just because I'll go into now is I do like the anthology idea of it. I do like all the ideas of it. I do like the separate stories. I like where we go. I think Predator deserves to be in like a theme in a situation or in a setting that's hostile, right? And so like feudal Japan and the Viking era and World War II Japan definitely lend to that hostile environment, hostile situation. There's just right now we just have the baddest of the baddest out and about, and the Predator's going to come down and do his thing and pick like who he think is worthy. So one of the things that I didn't like is I'll try to let me stay in order in this one. So because that's in the third one. We start out with in the Viking era. I actually like this storyline a lot better than I thought I would. Um, the thing also that I like is that these stories go pretty quick. There's really not a lot of wasted time. There's just set up, and then boom, we get into what these characters are doing, what their motivations are, and then straight away, Predator comes and throws his hook into their mess. Um, so the Viking one, like I said, I do like the Viking one. I was afraid of the Viking era storyline just because of the female character. I thought maybe they'd lead into it being a little too girl bossy. Sorry, but that's just how I felt when I heard it announced. But I gave it a chance and was pleasantly surprised. She's definitely not too much girl bossy. She's just a badass. She even like comes in and like says all this stuff, and then the one king that she's looking like kind of like shuts her down. But then she tries to put him back in his place, And so there's this honest back and forth between the two characters there. So I like that. Um, I like that she wasn't perfect. She was kind of a flawed character. Again, maybe I'll go into that when we talk spoilers. The animation in this I do like. It has that 2D, 3D vibe, like 2D come to 3D vibe. Some of it looks really good, but I think when we get into like the really fast action parts, it doesn't. It's a little bit too jerky, and I would like to see more of what's going on. But all in all, I think the action's really great. It's gory, which I think a Predator movie should be. There's tons of action. There's not like, oh, I wish there was more action. There's plenty of action. There's plenty of like the sound is pretty good. I like the sound effects. I think the sound mixing was like a little on the low side. I found that I had to like kind of turn it up a lot. But other than that, I liked when I did have it up, the sound effects of the predator snarling, and all the hits, and the she has this shield, and she's using the shield, and as she's using it, you could hear like the impact of the shield and the wood and the metal, and like all that's really cool and well done. So moving on, like I said, I like the ideas. I like the anthology aspect of it. I like that. So in an anthology, um, all the stories usually intertwine or link up somehow. And this is not a big spoiler, but we're gonna get there pretty sooner than later anyway. So we'll just say spoilers. And in this one, we do the stories do intertwine and do connect at the end. All our characters kind of meet up together, and then there's one little final kind of test for them at the end. um, I do like how we explore the predators. you know we go to Yautja Prime, which is cool, and in the beginning we're given like a little quote of like their warrior code, and then that's it. We're just kind of like watching what they do, and then that's it. There's not too much explanation of how they do things. We're just kind of watching them do things, which I think is the direction I hope they go in Predator Badlands. I don't want to see them over explain too many things. I know people are going to tell me that, well, in the comic books, it's well, that's a different medium. This is different. So yeah, I don't want to too much explanation on how exactly these predators come up with their language or their culture and their religion, because they have mandibles. So let's not go there. I just like the fact that we get to just see them do like all this badass stuff, and it's in reason. I like the fact that we have them come into um their battleground with an appropriate like gear and attire. They're not going in overly with too much tech, like in the samurai era. He's just got some blades, and they got the masks so they have the heat vision. I wish they kind of played with that a little bit more, because I think, well, I guess they kind of do in the pilot one, but the way he finds out is a little dumb. So let's go definitely into spoilers right now. So let's see. There's the parts that I don't like are the parts in the action. So in the Viking one, there's a scene where our character kind of discovers the how the mechanism on the alpha predator's arm works. She discovers how it's got like this lever that you got to push back, and it latches in, and then once you like engage it, it'll it'll kind of push out this like sonic boom, and she notices the way she picks it up is pretty clever. Okay, she's like fighting it, and then when she fights it on the ice, he goes to shoot her, and as he goes to shoot her, she gets pushed back, but then he also gets pushed back by the blast. So there's like a recoil to the thing. So when they're fighting in the water, she knows that there's a recoil to this thing, and so she blocks the shield though with her blocks it with her shield, gets thrown flying back, and then the predator gets shot back into like a spear that was behind him. That was all good. The fact that she gets in front of the mechanism and then gets hit, and then she's like, "All right," is was a little like, "Whoa." But it's an anime movie. Things like gravity and physics sometimes take a backseat in like animation. It's very hard to kind of convey those things in animation. So, it's okay that maybe they decided to do that, but it's a little like just a little bit too, not too ridiculous, but just a little too unbelievable that we've seen him do damage with this thing, and then her shield is all that's she's right in front of it, like point blank, and then he just like boom. Now they're fighting in the water, so maybe you could say that because they're in water, it kind of lessens the effect of it a little bit. Okay, so that one I didn't have too much of a problem with. What I did have a problem with is when we get to later on, we get into the World War II era one, and our main character is a mechanic, and then there's some enemy pilots in the air, and all the Allied pilots have to go up there. But as they're up there, the Predator's up there wrecking havoc, and our main character sees that there's some shit going on, and so he jumps into his like hoopty plane, and he goes up there to try to warn them. So as he gets up there, a dogfight ensues, which is okay. I was really excited for this dogfight, but like I said before, it's really hard to convey like gravity and motion and speed in animation. So in this one, in the dogfight scenes, it does seem like they struggled with how to do that. The sound in those scenes maybe could have helped a little bit better. So what we get here is in the dogfight scene, the our protagonist character, I forget his name, but his plane catches on fire, and to extinguish the fire, he actually puts the plane, and he takes a wrench, and he props the handles of the steering of the plane so that it's basically an autopilot pilot mode. Jumps out of the airplane in the middle of all this chaos, climbs out onto the wing. There's this whole mess of him getting out into the wing and kicking the piece of the wing that's on fire off, which he does, then walks and climbs back into the cockpit of the plane. And then during all that, he discovers that his plane was on fire and he was singled out by the Predator because of the heat of the flames. That's how he figures out that the Predator can see is like heat vision bound. So right there was like, ah man, like that's how he figures that out. So okay, but whatever. Moving forward. Let's see here. Sorry, I just put my hand in front of the thing. Sorry guys, just saying hi. So at the end, our characters, towards the end, they all get caught. At the end of all their stories, they all like defeat the Predator that's after them, but they all end up just ending up getting caught, which we don't see really. They just kind of just end up getting caught like anticlimactically, We get this whole like really cool action scene of them battling and defeating the Predator and how they defeat it. Which, like I said, the Viking one was a little like just, oh, it was kind of dumb a little bit. They tried to make it like it was like, oh, that was cool, but it was also like, huh? The samurai one was a little better, but then we get to the World War II one, and that one is also a little like meh. The way he kills the Predator, the Predator kind of goes dumb for a second. It's almost like in Prey when the Predator like shoots itself with its own weapon, which the Viking one does as well too. But the way she does it is a little bit clever. It's just I don't believe her putting herself in front of the thing like that. But maybe she was just like, it's just a desperate move. We'll see if it kills me. If it kills me, so that's why I believe that one. Then we get, as we go forward though, they all get captured, even though they defeat the Predators. And so instead of getting let go, they get caught. And then our third character, the World War II character, he defeats the Predator, and then like I don't know, months or years later after the war, he's back at being a mechanic, and then he's picked up by the aliens later, and then imprisoned. So I didn't like that one because the other ones they all got like picked up by the Predators like straight after the battle, and like Predators like, okay, yeah, you won, but nah, son, you're coming with us. Yeah, so that one was a little strange on how it departed from like the formula that the other ones took, where he just gets like picked up like later, just cause. So if that's the case, we would assume that by this point there would be way more characters and prisoners waking up in the prisoner ship when they all wake up. So, but anyway, they all wake up. It's the three of them all together. All our stories are converging at this moment, and so they're putting on in this like gladiator pit, and so our big ultimate grand predator comes out, and his instead of like the dreads or the porcupine hair, whatever you want to call it, it's like spines or like that's his cape. He just looks cool. He gets out there. All the predator designs look really cool, menacing, threatening. Yeah, scary and cool. And they could pass for bad guys or good guys, either or. So I don't know why the Predator Badlands Predator looks so bad, but whatever. It makes me so mad. Anyway, that thing looks like shit. I'm just gonna say that. But let's go back. So we'll go back. So they're in the gladiator arena, and our grand predator is telling them that all our characters have to fight each other now, and they have to basically fight to the death, and then until there's one of them left, and then they get to fight him. It's like, okay, like death sentence for everybody's then, huh? So he puts like this thing on their neck, and it's basically a translator so that they can all communicate with each other, which I like that, and they could also understand the predator. I like that, and I also did like how there was a little like rift between the Viking and the World War II character. Like, all these characters are of extreme different backgrounds, so you would expect them to like have like a little bit of like animosity or just some sort of dislike for each other somewhere or somehow, and they do throw that in there. So I liked how they did that. They didn't avoid it. They didn't like put it to the front that it wasn't a big deal because we all know it was. So I like that they didn't hide from it, and then they threw that part in there. She tells the guy he looks like he was born from an ass. Just pretty fucked up. But anyway, so later on, they're fighting. So he makes them fight each other. So they're all fighting. Viking chick is kind of down with it. Um, World War II guy and our samurai guy end up realizing that they gotta band together to get out of this situation. Viking chick is like, nah, I'm gonna avenge my son. I'm getting out of here. So she goes haywire. The Grand Predator is just like throwing everything at them, gladiator style, without the monkeys. So it's like Gladiator 1, not Gladiator 2, the good one. So he's throwing them. He's throwing like a like this big monster predator that looks good. And then there's something else that he throws at him. I forget at the moment. So in this, the monster eats the World War II guy, and then so he's in the stomach like a Pinocchio, and then he eventually gets out. Right, our characters defeat the animal. He's stuck in the stomach, but he ends up being able to see a character's half-bitten arm, use the gun, understand how the alien gun shield and armor works, deploys the knife, and then stabs it. Right, and so the thing he stabs like he's inside of it, like it's esophagus, and so he's inside of it, and like as he's inside of like this big monster, he like sees inside in the dark, right? But it's glowing green because like the inside of predators are green. So okay, so it's green. So either way, he's in there and he sees a hand of what the monster ate last. He ate a predator. The monster chewed up another predator, and so he sees like the arm of that predator, the severed arm, and so he grabs it, and it's got the wrist gauntlet, and he fucks with it, and then all of a sudden, shing, the little knives pop out, and then he stabs it, and then the monster is like, brr. So then our characters defeat it, and then he gets out of it somehow. Um, Not only does he get out of being eaten by this monster, then he proceeds to jump on like a hover bike thing, figure out how to drive it, which okay, get our characters, drive out of there. Then they have a battle with the Grand Predator, surrounded by the army. So at this point, the prisoners are basically like kind of like have fallen out of line. So you would think that, Grand Predator would be like, hey, you're out of bounds. You're not allowed to do some of this shit. You're supposed to fight each other and then fight me. You're not supposed to fight me all together at the same time. But he lets them fight him all together at the same time. And everybody likes all the other. He's in front of. They're on Yautja Prime, so they're on like a predator planet. And so on this planet, you would think that they're just outnumbered. Obviously, like there's nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. Okay, and so you would think they learned their lesson from Predators, where the characters, once they defeat the Predator, they jump into Predator's spaceship and then they drive away. So in this one, basically the same thing happens. They're able to jump into a Predator ship, commandeer it, and basically ride off into the sunset. And now, at a certain point, they finally do get attacked, and so they get shot by a harpoon, and so the harpoon is like holding them back. It's not retracting to bring them back yet. Nobody else is doing anything except for the Viking woman. So she jumps on the harpoon like chain and swings down there, distracts everybody, makes it so that the guys get away. So the guys get away, and then the Grand Yautja Prime dude is just like, go everybody, go get them, and they send off like 100 ships to go chase after the guy that's flying the spaceship that he just learned how to fly 5 minutes ago. And then that's it. Then the movie's over. And so right there, I picked up my remote and was very much ready to just change it right the fuck away because I was a little disappointed. But like I said, there were things that I did like about it. I liked I liked that the fact that they chose like an anthology formula to go with. It's something that you don't see, and I appreciated that they used that and they used it well. I thought that they did a pretty good job with it. I think the storylines are all pretty good. There's not like a lot of fleshed out character in the ninja. storyline one, which I would have liked to see. But I guess the way this is geared for like anywhere kids from like, I mean, I think I would, it depends, but I think a 13-year-old could watch this. So like 13 to like 25, this is like right up their alley. Like I said, it depends on, the teenager, but I think a young teenager would totally get down with this. um but yeah, there's just a few things that I wish I had more of. And some of these act like the things that happen in the action beats are just a little Looney Tune-ish and a little crazy. And they thought about it and they thought they were being clever with some of that stuff, and it just wasn't. So that's what lowered the score. All in all, though, I think it expands the Predator universe a lot, like really well. I like the fact that they don't really rely on any like what's called like key jangling or member berries or any like remember this thing from part two. Remember, they do bring up the gun. They bring back the gun. Oh yeah, that's another thing that I don't like. So we go. So let's go back. We'll go back. So we go back to the gladiator scene, and in the gladiator scene, they're all fighting, and the predators allows them some weapons. So the three characters are allowed weapons to fight each other. The Viking woman is given an axe, and the samurai is given uh, a samurai sword, and then our World War II era pilot is given a 17th century pistol. Okay, so our character is like, this is not even from my time zone. So anyway, so he ends up getting that. Doesn't even like, he can't even really get it to work. I don't even think he ends up working it and using it at all. Like he could have used that in the monster's mouth instead of finding the gauntlet. But and so anyway, so they're all get. So the pistol is actually the pistol we see from Prey, and the one that she is given by the French people in Prey, the movie Prey. And so that one comes up, and so we're like, "Whoa, wait a second! Isn't she the one that has that gun? Why do the Predators have it now?" Which a lot of people were like, "Wait a second, how does that work? Where she's given the gun, and then part two comes, and then now a Predator has it again, and then gives it to Danny Glover. Like, so she obviously gets the gun taken away from her again by a Predator. How does that work out?" And in this one, it's kind of answered that she's basically picked back up like our World War II character later on after the fact, and basically held in carbonite until she's got to fight in the big bad gladiator arena. And so they take her weapon and they basically, for some reason, give it to the World War II character, which they should know. If they know that the Viking era lady gets the axe and the samurai gets the sword, and that our character from Prey had the pistol, like the World War II guy should have a Tommy gun or something, or maybe like one of those small like jungle knives at least, since everybody's got some sort of sword weapon. But no. So we're like, they invoke the movie Prey, which, okay, that's Dan Trachtenberg's last movie, and he's gonna bring it back up. He's gonna bring back up the possibility of sequels to that, which at the end we get a basically a hint that she's on the ship, frozen, and maybe we'll see a continuation of her storyline. And so that's where that goes. Which I don't think they needed that. But like I said, okay, it's his Dan Trachtenberg's movie. He wants to link them all together. But what they don't do is they don't link it at all to Badlands. Not yet, at least. We don't know. I kind of did like that. I kind of didn't want to see any. Like I said, I like that they didn't invoke any other movies or have any key jangling or like remember this, just to get you like, oh, that's cool that they, like in Ghostbusters, you see the proton pack or the Ghostbusters car, and it's just to like just make you like, oh, it's cool that they made the Ghostbusters car, but just make it a different thing, you know. And in this movie, they do that. They make everything its own thing. It's all different, but it's all still very Predator. And I like that. I think that's why I give it the benefit of a doubt where I rank it higher than like a Screen Rant, or I rank it higher than like a 50-50. Because like I said, there are things that I like about it and the things that I don't like about it. And they are kind of evenly stacked. And I know I feel like I complained a lot more about the things that I didn't like, but there are things that I do like. And one of the things that I think I like is the direction that they went down, the path that they went down with this anthology and an anime, and making it come out like the summer before the movie. Yeah, I think that's all like really good tie-in and just a really good way to build up excitement for the movie that's coming out in November. And so, yeah, that's my review, long-winded review of Killer of Killers. Went on a little longer than I thought we were going to go on, but that's what it is. Let me know if you want to see me do more reviews. Hit like, hit subscribe. Take care, guys. Be good. See you later. Bye.